Hey there, and welcome to the inaugural episode of the Ninja Chickens podcast. This is going to be a mostly fibery related podcast with knitting and spinning, natural dyeing, sheepy shenanigans. But there will occasionally be some homeschooling and homesteading because of where and how I live. And I hope to do some tutorials and DIY fun craziness. So, thanks for joining me. I know there's a bazillion podcasts, fibery podcasts out there, so I really appreciate you taking the time to check this one out. I think it's going to be fun. My name is Maria. I don't think I said that yet. You can find me on Instagram as ninja.chickens and on Ravelry as Ninja Chickens, and there's a Ravelry Ninja Chickens group if you'd like to come out and join us there. I have show notes. I'm all prepared. Show notes will be on my blog, ninjachickens.org, and I will probably also put them in the Ninja Chickens is hard to say fast, in the Ninja Chickens Ravelry group. I know a lot of people ask me about the Ninja Chickens name, and it was really, we do have chickens. They're not really ninjas, but at least not that I know of, but they could be covert ninjas that I don't see going crazy every once in a while. But really, I was just trying to think of a name for my store that would be fun and memorable. And I remember sitting at the exact light that we were sitting out with my kids, and we were throwing out all different kinds of names, waiting for the light to change. And I said, what about Ninja Chickens? And they both went, yeah. So that's what I've been ever since. A little bit about me, since this is the first episode, before we get started with all the fibery stuff. My profession before having kids, before getting down the rabbit hole that is fiber, I studied to be a nurse and herbalist. So I worked mostly as a labor and delivery nurse and occasionally as a nurse herbalist at a family doctor's practice. I also ran a clinic and apothecary with my good friend Nikki, who is Woolen Violet. Many of you know her as Woolen Violet on Instagram. And we had our own clinic and apothecary, which was fabulous. We had a wall with over 100 herbs and tinctures and goodies, and a sweet office where we could see clients, and that was really nice. But we both had children. I decided to homeschool my kids, so it just made sense not to be away from the home and to stay at home. And because I loved knitting and spinning and all the fibery good stuff, that was easy to do while I was at home, and I kind of fell into that and have really not looked back. It's a complete obsession. My husband asked me once while we were laying in bed talking about the next thing I wanted to do. He said, do you think maybe you're a little obsessed with this? And I said, yeah. I proudly proclaim it. I am obsessed. So let's get into some of what I've been doing. I'm going to start, well, I'll tell you, we're going to do whips and finished objects. I'll be talking a little bit about some of the natural dyeing I've been doing, the care package project that I worked on, some spinning, a little bit of embroidery and sewing, and some acquisitions, and then we'll do a little bit of homesteading. So my first whip is something that I've been working on for a while. It was my 2016 resolution to learn how to do double knitting. I got started a little late. I got started, last month. But it's not really as hard as I thought. It's just really slow. I'm not a process knitter. I don't know what the word is for the other knitter, a finished product knitter. I don't know. I like knitting fast and I like finished products. So actually until this year, I was a monogamous knitter and I would knit one project at a time really, really fast and then be excited to cast on the next one. And I started knitting more than one at a time this year, and I enjoy it. I don't usually have more than 3 or 4 on my needles at a time, but it's nice to be able, especially if you have something that's really complicated, to be able to pick up something simple when you want to watch a movie and knit, if you don't want that complicated thing to work on at the time. But when I was just a monogamous knitter and I was working on something super complicated, I'd just have to leave it if I wanted to go to the movies or I wanted to read and knit or something like that. So now I have 3 right now, but I'm about to cast on another one. This is called, excuse me, The Dungeon Scarf of the Skeleton King, and it is by Rick Shell, who's one of the owners of the Pearl Yarn Emporium in Asheville. It's a double knitted scarf. So you can see one side has a design on it that is reversed of the other side. The main colors are reversed. So it makes it a two-sided scarf with the same pattern on both sides, just in the opposite colors. It's really not so hard to do. It's just slow going for me. But I'm a little over halfway through, and I'm hoping to have this done in the next couple of weeks, because this is a Dungeons and Dragons adventure board. And I don't know if any of you play out there, but my husband and my daughter are super big fans of playing Dungeons and Dragons, and they're actually going to a conference in 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks. So I was hoping to have this so that they could totally nerd out and wear this and show it to everyone while they're at the conference. It would be a lot of fun. So let's see, I am knitting this on US 4 or 3.5 millimeter carbons. That's pretty much all I use. I really like them. I like how there's a little bit of grab right here, but not as much as the wood, but they're smooth tips, so it slides easily into the stitch. The only problem I've ever had is at the connecting points. Some of them are completely smooth, some of them have just a little bit of a catch, and it's not been a really big deal. But I was listening to Jenny of Handmade in Woolen, she's Tiny Paper Foxes on Instagram, talk about some needles that she's been using. I don't remember the name of the needles. They're a wooden needle that has a similar grip to the carbons, but it's completely smooth. And she also uses carbons, and she said that it's been wonderful being able to use those and not have to deal with that catch. But right now I like them. I treated myself to these earlier this year because I was just grabbing a pair of needles here and there, never really tried anything that was a good quality, and I like these a lot. Let's see, the yarn here, the black is white birch fiber arts, and that is their 80/20 base, and it's called Dark Night of the Soul. And then the red, well, you can see it on either side. The red is Jill Draper Makes Stuff, her Esopus base, and that's at the Forge. I really like them both. I think they've been fabulous. So next year's 2017's resolution is going to be steeking. I want to knit a really pretty colorwork Fair Isle sweater in the round, and I want to make it into a cardigan. If you have any suggestions for patterns, let me know. I'm looking into it, and I'm going to try and cast that on in January, so I don't wait till December to cast on my resolution. Let me know what your resolutions are. Do you have any fiber or knitting resolutions? If you do, write them in the group, in the Ravelry group. I'd love to hear what you guys are planning on working on. My second WIP is the Cardamom Coffee Hat. This is by Caitlin Hunter, who's also Boyland Knitworks on Instagram. And it is a really cute Fair Isle pattern. I had to stop myself from finishing this and making it another finished object because I wanted to have more than one WIP. I love it. It's going to be really pretty. It's the pattern calls for fingering weight on size 2 and 3, I believe. I'm using size 4 and 6 and using a DK weight. I wanted something a little bit squishier, thicker. So I'm going with the DK to see if I can't get it squishier. I dropped down in stitches to 112 stitches as a cast on instead of using what was called for. Let's see. So yeah, I'm using US 4 3.5 and a US 6, which is 4 millimeters. I'm going to memorize all of those because all we do in the US is the US numbers, but I know everybody else uses millimeters, which makes a lot more sense. So I'm going to memorize those. The gray yarn is actually Fern Fiber yarn. It's an older base from a mix that Nikki, okay, so I'm also Fern Fiber. I'm one half of Fern Fiber. Nikki Woolen Violet, who I talked about earlier as my co-conspirator in herbalism and nursing, is also my co-conspirator in Fern Fiber, which is a naturally dyed yarn business and a natural yarn business. We get all of our stuff from local farmers in the area. We go out during shearing day, we meet the sheep, we meet the farmers, we see how they treat the animals, and watch the shearing, help with the shearing often, and then get to pick the fleece, send it off to a local mill within an hour or two of here, and then dye it ourselves, hopefully with plants from our gardens or our woods. If we don't get to dye it with local plants, then we'll get stuff from other companies that's good natural dye products. But and then some of it we leave plain. And I will go into all that when I talk about Fern Fiber, the yarn that we have available. But I just wanted to show you this stuff, which the gray is the Fern Fiber. The blue is a little mini that I had from Twist Fiber Studio. And then the black is called Olala. It's 60% merino, 30% silk, and 10% cashmere. And I love it. I think it's going to be really nice. So that is my second whip. I have a third one that I can't show you because it is a design that's going to be coming out in a magazine in the spring. So I have to keep that one secret, but it's also with Fern Fiber, and that's going to be really pretty. So let's see, I guess moving on to finished objects. My first finished object are my solstice socks. I made them to wear on winter solstice night. The blue and the sparkle and the white just reminded me of, I don't know, a wintry day. This is Susan B. Anderson's Smooth Operator pattern along with Hermione's Everyday Socks pattern. I just combined the two. And I love it. It's a little bit less blue in person, maybe a little more white in there, but I love how they turned out. I think they're really fun. I knit these on a size 1, 2.25 needle, and I cast on 56 stitches, I believe. I knit loosely when it comes to patterns. When I'm just knitting, it's a fairly standard gauge, but when I'm doing a purl with it, because of how I hold my needles, it ends up loosening, so I just cast on a little bit less. My second finished object are some socks for my husband. These were just a vanilla pattern that I used with a yarn that I got from the Into the Wool retreat. It was just on a free table, so I don't know what kind of yarn it is. I don't know whose it is, but I knew he liked yellow, so I thought these would be fun. It was a brighter yellow, and we washed them the first time. It did bleed a little bit, but they're still really cool looking. So those are from my husband. Again, on size US 1s, 2.25 carbons. Let's see. Oh, I did not tell you. These are knit with Fiber Nymph Dye Works SSK colorway on her bedazzled base. I love it. They're gorgeous. Okay, my next socks, which I wish I could wear these every single day. I'm so excited about these. I know I'm going to have to do it again. These, aren't they gorgeous? These are the Camabornia Advent Mystery Knit-Along Socks by Pia Camaborn. Knit on US 1s, 2.25 carbons. You can pretty much assume that every time I knit socks. The yarn is by Twist Fiber Studio. She dyed up little minis for me to do this project in all her yarn, and I love the colors. And look at this heel. Can you see it? Isn't that amazing? I've never done a pattern on a heel. I mean, I've done very little color work on socks, but these are gorgeous. I really like them. Both my mother and my sister said, "You bought those, right?" And I was like, "No, I knit them." She was like, "Well, this is a compliment. They don't look hand knit," which I thought was funny, and I love them. Let's see. What I'm wearing. I'm wearing the 116-3 Christina dress by Drops Designs. That's part of the name, so I'll put those numbers in there. Actually, it's a tunic. It's kind of like a long sweater, but I was knitting it while I was watching the election returns. So I just kind of kept going, and it ended up going below my knees. So now I have a Christina dress, and I love this dress. The top is all a Fair Isle pattern, and then the rest of the dress, let's see if I can get in here so you can see it. The pockets have a design on them. The sleeves and the hem of the dress don't as far as the pattern goes, but I put one on there anyway. I liked having the color. I have the same design on the hem. I won't be able to stand up high enough to show you the hem because it's below my knees. So I appreciate you having patience with me looking at my notes while I'm learning how to get in the flow of this. I used the Garn Studio Drops Lima base in gray because it's a really good price and it's soft and it's non-superwash, and I just really liked it. I was able to actually knit a full dress without having to pay an arm and a leg. I love hand-dyed yarns and have no problem paying $35 for a gorgeous skein of yarn. But to get enough skeins of yarn to make a dress this big, it would have been like $1,000 dress. So I was happy to find Garn Studios. And then I have two different colorways. One is from Wendy's Wonders in her DK Merino, and one is from Wool Elf in her DK Merino gradients. They're all gradients, so that's how I was able to achieve the change in color without actually changing yarns. So I love this dress. It's super, super cozy, and it fits nice and squishy. Let's see, here it is, my last finished object. I'm trying just to give you things in the last 2 weeks to a month, because I have a lot of stuff that I could show you since this is my first object, or my first podcast, but we'll just start with this. My last one is another sock. I tried to knit almost everyone's socks. These are from, I call them Kaya's steampunk socks. These are from my daughter. These are from the Gail's Art sock blank in her octopus, brass octopus colorway. And I love how they turned out. I almost kept them. I did them 2 at a time. It was a double knit sock blank, so I was able to knit 2 at a time, and they're exactly the same, which is really cool. She likes them a lot, and I realize I'm looking at this lower than you can see. Hold it up, hold it up. So yeah, that is my last finished object. Oh no, it's not. I have another one. Surprise! Let's see. My last one, which was until a couple days ago a whip, is a finished object. This is a hat for me because I haven't knit a whole lot of hats for me. I knit them for everyone else, or I knit them for me and then I give them away. This is the beeswax design by Amy Vandelaar. And the patterning really looks like beeswax. And I love it. I absolutely love it. The yarn is a hand spun from Andre Sunitz when we did a trade last year. And yeah, I think it's just the Andre Sunitz podcast, and she's Andre Sunitz on Instagram. And I love it. I've been staring at this yarn for a long time, trying to figure what I should make out of it. And I know that there's more texture than this design should call for, so you can't see the design as well as you would if you had maybe a smoother type of yarn, but I love it. I absolutely love it. I'll put it on for you. The brim, I just thought it'd be fun with a pop of color, and I had a really pretty orange from Bovidae yarns. So I did a German twisted cast on, and my tail yarn I used Bovidae, and then my working yarn I used the hand spun. So as I was casting on, it created this little lip, and I like it. I think it looks really cool, and it's cozy. I did change the pattern up a good bit. I didn't write it down. It's in my it's in my project notes on Ravelry. The number it's a DK weight, calls for a DK weight yarn, and the number of cast on stitches seemed like a lot to me, and I thought it was going to be way too big. So I cut it down, I think by 2 repeats of the pattern. Like I said, all the details are in my project notes on Ravelry. And it came out perfectly. Also, when I was only 16 rows into a 26-row pattern, it was already this deep, and I was already able to pull it over my ears. So I dropped the last 10 rows and moved the pattern over so that I could start casting off. It's all in my notes on my project page. Sorry, I don't have the details written down. But I think it fits perfectly. And look at the top. Look at that flower. Isn't that cute? Is it focusing? There we go. So I'm excited. Now I can wear it. And let's see. What else have we got? Care packages. Okay. I don't know. So some of you will follow me on Instagram, and you will have seen that I put a call out there for people to send in hand knits. Um, these last few months of this year have been hard for a lot of people for many ways. And I felt like I needed to do something to feel like I was doing something for society, if that makes sense. And I decided that I would try and act locally, do something I could do with my kids. So I put a call out there. I thought I'm going to make a few care packages to send to the local crisis center. There's a place in Asheville called Helpmate, and Helpmate is a women's crisis center. There's often children too, where women who are getting out of abusive situations will come if they need complete secrecy for a little while because they're that concerned about their lives. They will check in there, usually stay there for a little over a month while they're getting all the legal stuff situated, finding a safe place to be. Many of them bring their children. Many of them leave in the middle of the night or very quickly with just the clothing on their backs, and they leave all their comforts, all their stuff, all their possessions at home because they can't carry them with them and they need to get out quickly. So this crisis center houses 20 people at a time, but usually serves about 200 people a year. So I contacted the woman who runs the place and I said, could we maybe do 10 or 20 care packages? She said that'd be awesome. They have their daily needs taken care of. They have, their shower gear, their toothbrushes, their bedding, stuff like that. What they don't have is their comforts. What they don't have are the things that make them feel human. After going through these situations, they've lost all those things, the little comforts in life. So I thought, okay, we're going to make some care packages full of comforts. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice if I could even do 50? How awesome would that be to be able to carry them through a couple seasons, maybe into the summer with enough care packages for people. So I put a call out on Instagram and I said, anyone who's got some hand knits that they're willing to donate, I would absolutely love it. Send them my way. So many people replied. I was overwhelmed in a really good way by the response that I got. It was just, it makes me tear up. It was so, so sweet. Within about 4 days of putting out that call on Instagram, I got a knock on my door from the postman, and then he walked away. And I was like, where'd he go? Then he came back and knocked again. Then he walked away. Then he came back and knocked again. By the time I made it to the door and opened it, there were so many boxes in front of my door, I couldn't walk outside. It was insane. So immediately my kids brought them in. We started going through them and writing down everybody's names and what they had donated. And there was hand knits, and there was handmade soap, and there were handmade chocolates, and there was lip balms and lotions, quilted items. I mean, I can't tell you how amazing it was. And over the next few weeks, more stuff kept coming in. The corner of my room was piled high with amazing things that were gifted. No one required anything. It was just out of the kindness of their hearts. And thank you, thank you, thank you so much for sending things in. On Solstice Day, a few friends of mine came over, knitters from the area, and helped box things up. We boxed up 59 adult care packages with gum and tissues, hand knit items, chocolate, lip balms, handmade soaps, teas donated by a big tea company who sent me teas, traditional medicinals, sent me chamomile for everyone, and then kids and baby items. There were games, there were toys, hand-sewn baby toys, hand-sewn hearts that said you are loved. It was amazing. 17 children's care packages, 59 adult care packages, and we only stopped there because we ran out of boxes and bags to put them in. So everything else was packed into boxes and brought over. We had 2 full boxes of hand knits, and another box of goodies, leftover goodies, chocolate gum, stuff like that. And we brought it all over to the crisis center, and it just felt so good. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate it. I don't know what I'm going to do next, but I've got to think of something because it was a lot of fun, and I feel like it hopefully has touched a few people. So next, spinning. I will admit I have not been on my spinning wheel for a few months. I love spinning, but if I have the choice between spinning and knitting, it's always knitting. So with the holidays, I've been doing a lot of knitting. But I know what I want to spin next, and I need your advice. Let me show you. Okay, so this is bonkers. It is kind of bonkers. It's not my usual colorway, but I absolutely love it. Those yellows, and there's greens and browns and reds. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, though. I don't know if I should just, I feel like if I spin it straight as it is and then just ply it, it will end up getting muddy. But it's got so many pops and kind of speckles of color that I'm not sure how to capture that in the yarn. One of the things I got from my family for solstice is this awesome spinning book, Yarnitecture, A Knitter's Guide to Spinning, Building Exactly What You Want by Julian Moreno. So I've been looking through here, but I'm still not sure what I should do with this. Oh, isn't it gorgeous? If you have thoughts, if you are a proficient spinner, or if you're a spinner, period, and you have ideas of what I should do, let me know in the little Ravelry group. That would be a lot of fun to hear your thoughts and figure out what I can do with this. It's super squishy. Did I already say it's bamboo nylon, superwash merino? So it's really soft also. I love it. Let's see. That was spinning. And one of my acquisitions, which you already saw, so here's the funny thing. This was on my Amazon wish list, along with a book that was called Yarn Farming, I think it is. It's about raising sheep, specifically for wool. And it looks like a really good book. I got it from the library, but I didn't get a chance to finish it all, so I thought, well, I'll put it on my wish list because I'd really like that. So my kids and my husband went out to look for books, and they saw the one I wanted, and they almost got it. And then they decided they were going to get this because they said, we really shouldn't encourage Maria to get anything more like sheep, because I don't have sheep. I would love them. But it's just not in the cards yet. Maybe when the kids are a little older. Kaya's 13, but she's not interested in farming anything. Leaf is almost 8, and he would probably help me with them a little bit later. My husband, Toby, has no interest in farming. He loves building things, but not so much the hands-on gardening stuff. So that's all my thing. So we already have chickens and 4 cats and 6 beehives and a lot of gardens and stuff. We live on 24 acres. So we have space, but it's another thing to add to my plate. I'm not sure if I want to do that yet. No, I want to do that, but I want to do that with support. So that was one of my acquisitions. I'm not in acquisitions yet. I'm in spinning, but it's a spinning acquisition. I wanted to show you. Dyeing. So I told you a little bit about Fern Fiber and that I do natural dyeing. I love it. It's, again, another rabbit hole once you start and you see the color that plants can produce. It's just amazing. So what I've been doing is a little bit of eco-printing lately. I'm making some gifts for some people, and I thought it'd be a lot of fun to try out some silk eco-printing. I had not done silk before. I've done wool and cashmere and cotton. I hadn't done silk. So eco-printing is a technique where you use a plant and smush it or steam it or simmer it somehow so that the print of the plant gets put onto the cloth, whatever it is you're using. You could do eco-printing with paper if you squish or hammer the plant onto the paper. This I was doing by rolling it up, and I'll put a little video here so you can see it. Rolling the plants up in the silk and then steaming it. So the one that you saw me do in that video is right here. Let's see if we can get some good light on that. That is one of the maple prints. Let's see, oh, it's upside down. There's a nice one. So this was maple and hibiscus, and I love it. I think it's beautiful. It's definitely not as bold of a print as I've seen before. I'm not sure what it was that didn't turn out right. I think they're gorgeous, and I'm hoping that the people that they're being gifted to will enjoy them. Let's see if I can get this one. But so you can see part of the leaf there. But I was hoping for something more crisp. They're beautiful, and I have not rinsed these yet, or ironed them. I'll iron them to try and set the print color a little bit more before I rinse them. But I still think they're really pretty. Here's another one, which was maple leaves. Let's see. Yeah, that's the right side. It's getting a little blown out. Sorry about that. I'll post some pictures on Instagram so you guys can see them in better detail. It's just so, the light is so bright outside. I'm sitting at my window. I'm looking outside. The window's behind, but there's windows all around, so it makes it a little bit bright. Yeah, so that was some of the eco printing that I've been doing. And I really enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. I've been doing them on sock blanks too, just to see how it turns out. I'd never seen any eco-printed sock blanks, and I know that there are some people like Andre Sunitz and Gail's Art. They do some amazing print. I mean, Andy actually paints on these gorgeous paintings. I mean, they're incredible. And then you knit from them. If you don't know what a sock blank is, it's a knitted piece of fabric. It's pre-knitted when you get it, and it's white. And then the dyer will dye it, dipping it in color or squirting color on or painting it on or eco-printing on it. And then you knit from it. So it unravels as you knit. So you lose the original picture, but then it creates this really cool looking design. And sometimes when I'm knitting socks, I almost always have some left over. So I'll make a little pillow out of it or make something so that I can keep some of the original design. But they're a lot of fun. So this might be a good place to talk a little bit about Fern Fiber. I don't have any dyed yarn to show you, but I just got back a big box from the mail with 4 beautiful yarns. So the first yarn that we got back is a Shetland and mohair mix. The Shetland is a little sheep named Sweetie, and the mohair is a little goat named Henry VIII. Focus. Yeah, well, I will figure that out. You can kind of see it here. It's really pretty. It's gray, but there's a hint of this golden brown. It's really beautiful. And this one, I believe, is a sport weight. And I love the way it turned out. I wasn't sure. Sometimes Shetland can be so itchy or scratchy. This Shetland mixed with this mohair, just gorgeous. And the halo is really pretty. Yeah. So that was Sweetie and Henry VIII. And then the next one is Mama and Blackfoot. And this is a light gray that is fingering weight. There we go. Another really pretty one. Romney. That one's a Romney. Actually, all the rest of these are Romney. Just the first one was different. This Romney is from Robin and Squeaky. And this is a sport weight. I'm actually going to take a couple of skeins of this and make a Fair Isle skirt with it. I think that'll be really pretty. It's really squishy. Romney, again, is also kind of like Shetland. Sometimes can be really itchy. This you could wear up against your skin. I mean, it's soft. It's really nice. Yeah, so there's that. And then this last one I've been super excited about. There is one farm that we work with. It's about 25 minutes from my house. And it's actually run by an old friend who I did not realize had a farm until maybe a year and a half ago when I saw her at a fiber festival. And she was like, Maria? And I knew I recognized her face, but I didn't know why. Turns out she was a teacher where I went to high school because I grew up in this area. And she has a farm, and she spoils her sheep rotten. And for the last 2 years, we've gone out to her shearing, and helped out with sweeping and folding up the fleece when it's time to put them in the bags, and being able to hand pick the specific fleece that we want. So this is one of her Romney fleece from her sheep, Mr. Frosty Sprinkles. Her grandchildren name all of her sheep. And there we go. It's, again, another one that you could probably wear this up next to your skin. It's just so soft. This one's a worsted weight. So we have one fingering, two sport, and a worsted, and we have a lot more coming back from the mill. We kind of went nuts with fleece this spring and summer and sent a lot off. A lot of it is colored, either browns or grays or even a few black. And some of them, many of them we won't dye because they're so pretty, but I would like to put a little bit of color on some of these to see. I mean, that would be really neat with a purple or a blue on top of it. It just brings a lot of depth to the color of the yarn. So I'm excited about those. So that's it for the Fern Fiber. We'll have those in the shop sometime over the next few weeks. With us both being moms, with me homeschooling, we take our time. We try not to make ourselves stressed about Fern Fiber as a business, because then it's not fun anymore. And we want to be able to enjoy ourselves, because that enjoyment will show in our yarn and the quality of the yarn and the quality of the dyes and all of that. So Fern Fiber also has an Instagram site, and that's where we're most active. So if you follow there, you'll get updates as to when we're publishing or putting things in our store. And we do have some things in the store right now. It's mostly alpaca and some hand spun, but you're welcome to check that out. Next, okay, I don't do a lot of embroidery. I do very little embroidery, but I started this year with a kit from a woman called Cozy Blue, which is a local artist that I'd met. She puts out the cutest simple embroidery kits I have ever seen. Super cute little foxes and cats and bears. And last solstice, I gave my kids each a kit so that they can work on them as they please, do a little handcrafting during homeschool. Nice time to take, if there's been a lot of book work, then it's nice to take a little hand break and or a little break to use your hands and have a cup of tea or something. So they've been really enjoying them. So she put out this free pattern to people who were on her newsletter called the Snow Globe, and I showed it to my 7-year-old, and he was like, I want to do that. He was so excited about it. So he doesn't work fast when it comes to embroidery, which is fine. He'll do like 2 stitches to every 10 of mine, but he really enjoys it and he likes the final product. So this is called Snow Globe, and you can just see it. I used tracing paper and traced it onto kind of like a muslin that I had. This is the bottom of the globe that we're going to do in like a copper. We'll do silver around it, and then there's snowflakes and a little house and little trees, and it's just so sweet. So my hope is that over the years we'll continue to do some of these kits. I have a few others of hers that I've already purchased, a few that I've done, and then make it into a quilt. How cool would that be to have, 40 or 50 little projects that I've done with my kids made into a quilt that we can put on our bed? I think that'd be really sweet. So that's what we've been doing as far as embroidery. So Cozy Blue, I think her store is on Etsy as Cozy Blue. And I think she's Cozy Blue on Instagram. You have to look her up. She's got the sweetest little, some of them are just like you print it out and put it on your cloth, and some of them are actual kits that come with the needle and the colors and everything, which is a lot of fun for people who are just getting into embroidery because it's everything you need. So that's that. Sewing. I don't do a lot of sewing, but I have been wanting to make this skirt for years, I think. And it I don't know why sewing intimidates me so much more. I could do all these detailed knitting things, but to actually, I don't know, maybe it's the fiddliness of the pattern. I don't have a good place to lay things out, but I'm always like, oh no, that's going to take a long time. I shouldn't do it. I finally kicked myself and did it because I've been wanting to make this skirt, and I'll show you. This skirt is from So What Skirts by Francesca de Hartog and Carol Ann Camp. And it's called the Country Charm Skirt. And here it is. Let's see. You can just barely see it there. Here's the other. That one's a little bit better. It's just a double layer skirt with an elastic waist. when I actually sat down and did it, it took me like 20 minutes to cut it out and sew it up. It was not hard. I've sewn the two separate skirts, the outer skirt and the underskirt. I have not yet sewn the tops together because I'm going to eco print them. So I have been doing this. Here's the two skirts. That's kind of hard to see. It's just white. So it's cotton. There's the overskirt, the underskirt. It is cotton from my friend Eileen, who lives not far from here, and I do natural dyeing group with. She has an mostly organic cotton company that is perfect for eco printing. And so here's why. It's called Dye-licious Cotton, D-Y-E, licious cotton. And her company is New World Textiles. Is that right? Yes, New World Textiles. She gets cotton from North Carolina, which is where I live, and she has it pre-mordanted so that it will take dyes. And then she has it spun and woven in 4 different ways. So this is what's called a semi-solid. It's been woven with mostly pre-mordanted cotton and a small amount of non-mordanted. So this will dye up slightly different with the cotton threads that are not mordanted. So she also has 3 other types. One is like a pixelated, so they're in squares is what it looks like when it's finally dyed because of how it's been woven. And then there are 2 striped patterns that were woven so that they are striped with pre-mordanted and non-mordanted. So you can get all kinds of different designs just by dyeing it one way because there's 4 different types of cotton. This is the semi-solid because I thought that would work better with eco printing. So my plan is to have the outer skirt have, like on the bottom of it, in the bottom corner maybe, have just maybe fern or maple leaves or something printed in the bottom right corner. The underskirt I was thinking of doing with something to cause polka dots. I'm not sure if that's going to be round eucalyptus or if I'm going to use, I might use this. Let me show you, where is it? Aha. I might use this, which is blue hydrangea. I have a lot of these from my neighbor who harvested them from his plants, his bushes for me. I've used those on my sock blanks before and they made this really cool, well, just like that color, purpley blue print. It was gorgeous, but I tried using them on the silk and I got very little color. And I mordanted them the same way and I processed it the same way. So I'm a little bit nervous to put them on the cotton and then have them not really do a whole lot. What I might do, I have some extra, actually, that's a good idea. I have some extra cotton, so I will do a test. I'll do it tonight and then I'll let you know how it works. And if it comes out that blue, then I'm going to pepper it all over the bottom skirt, the underskirt, so that has like more of a polka dot, and then the top skirt will have leaves, eucalyptus and maple or something like that. So I'm really excited. I hope to do that in the next few days, so I'll have it for you on the next podcast. Let's see. Okay, acquisitions. I've told you already about a few things. The spinning book that I got. The next thing, I got 2 books from my family. My mother and sister, I believe, gave me both of these. The first one is The Art and Craft of Natural Dyeing by Jay and Lyles. We use this a lot in our natural dye club, and it's got good history, but it's also got all the science in there, and sometimes I like geeking out on the science of why things work the way they work. So I should look up silk in here. I haven't looked that one up in here. But I'm excited to dig into this book. It looks like it's going to be a really good one. And then the next book that I got, which is another one I've had on my wish list for a while, is Knitlandia by Clara Parks. It's a story of her journey and knitting, traveling around and knitting, and I haven't started it yet, but I'm very excited about this one. So what other things? Well, so this isn't knitting related, but it's too gorgeous not to show you. I have a friend who I met, I guess about 1.5 years ago. Her name is Andrea Kulish, and She's from Ukrainian background. I think her mother and grandmother. And she does pisanke egg painting. I always thought it was pisanki, but she told me that's the southern way of saying it. She told me it's pisanke. It is where you take eggshells and you scratch on them with a pen basically that uses wax as ink. And you scratch your design on them, and then you dip it in egg color, and then you scratch some more, and then you dip it some more, and until you have a final product. Well, I got this from her for our tree. Let's see if I can hide myself. There we go. But look at this side. Wait for it. It's a unicorn. Isn't that amazing? So she scratched this on here with ink. So basically, like, she covered the whole unicorn, backwards there. She covered the whole unicorn with the ink. Did I say ink? Wax. She scratched the whole unicorn with wax. And then, I guess maybe dipped it in yellow, and then she scratched some more and then dipped it in another color. And every time she put the wax on, it blocked that area from changing color. So you just keep doing that until you're done, and then you wipe the wax off and you have this. And it's just gorgeous. I absolutely love this. I'm always astounded when I see her work. I think she's Studio A, I believe, on Instagram. I know her name is Andrea Kulish, Kulish, so you could probably find her on there. But that was one of my acquisitions that I was really excited about and wanted to share with you guys. The last thing I have to have kind of like a proud mama moment for, because I'm really, really proud of these guys for doing this. And this is Rib Magazine. I started watching Sticks and Twine podcast and Handmade in Woolen, which used to be Tiny Paper Foxes, from episode 1. I've been watching them for a long time. And it's just been so cool to see them progress in their knitting, in their podcasts, in their endeavors, whatever they've been doing. And I feel like a proud mom that they have done this. This is the first issue of Rib Magazine. It is a magazine for men who knit and for the people who knit for men. And there is a huge need for this in the knitting community. So many patterns are written for women and then retrofitted for men. There are a lot of men's patterns out there, but there is no other magazine that I know of that's specifically for men. So I'm super, super proud of them for this. Devin and Ginny of Handmade in Woolen and Eric of Sticks Plus Twine. And it's gorgeous. And there are some really beautiful patterns in here. I think one of my favorite, that is the cowl by Mina Phillip, Metropolitan Hat and Cowl. So there's another good picture. Super cute design. It looks like just a slip stitch, but with that yarn, it's absolutely gorgeous. So I may be casting that one on pretty soon. And the cute thing in the back, there's an alcoholic drink recipe. I think that's fun. Anyway, you should check that out if you haven't seen it yet. Rib Magazine. Okay, so that's it. As far as all the fibery goodness, I don't have a whole lot of other things. Just a couple things I want to talk to you about. Well, I guess it'd be a little bit more about me and where I live. I said I live on 25 acres. We live in a cordwood house, is what it's called. It's a 16-sided cordwood house that my husband and I built. The downstairs is 16-sided and the upstairs is 8-sided, and it's smaller, so it looks kind of like a wedding cake or a UFO. The cordwood is basically, if you think about chopped wood that would go into a fireplace, that's what it is. They're 16 inches long and they're laid down, and one is the outside, one end is the outside, one end is the inside. So you have a 16-inch wall. It's a very thick wall, so it's a really good heat sink for the sun in the winter to help keep your house warm. And when the sun is up high enough, where's my arm? When the sun is up high enough in the summertime, the overhang of the roof blocks the sun from hitting the wall, and it stays nice and cool in the summer. It's also really environmentally friendly, so we did it like that. We also have a living roof, so I have thyme and lavender and a lot of sedum and yarrow and other stuff planted all on our roof, which is really cool because I can go out there and pick thyme for meals. Um, and well, like I said, we have gardens, we have orchards, we have bees and chickens, and 4 crazy cats, which I'm sure you'll meet some of them during the podcast in the future. My mother-in-law just moved into the house, just built a house up above us on our land. And so it's been awesome to have her out here. We live at the end of a road in a little hollow on the north side of a mountain. So it's a really beautiful place for finding herbs in the woods. We have a little stream and a pond where there's frogs in the spring. It's a really great place. Especially a great place to raise kids because they can run outside and play and I don't have to worry, which is really nice. Let's see. I wanted to, okay, since I am Ninja Chickens, I thought it'd be fun occasionally to introduce you to a chicken. So the first chicken I'm going to introduce you to is Merlin. Merlin is our rooster. We have 16 chickens. He's one of 2 roosters, but he's the head honcho. So I will insert a little video here so you can see a little bit more about him. So this is Merlin. He is one of our 16 chickens and one of our 2 roosters. He was given to me by a friend who raised rare chickens, and he is what's called a Swedish flower hen rooster. He's extremely sweet, but that was partly because the woman who gave him to me raised him by hand, carried him around in a sling, and doted on him completely when he was a baby. So he's a sweetheart. He has massive spurs that you can see, but he doesn't use them. I mean, he would if he needed to defend the flock, because if a raccoon or a hawk were to come in, he would use his spurs as defense. Some roosters use them inadvertently when they are getting frisky with the ladies, but he doesn't. He's very gentle with them, which is really nice. He has a gorgeous tail. He just molted, which means he lost some of his feathers, kind of like when a dog loses its fur or cat shed or whatever every year. He molted, and so he lost his feathers, his tail feathers. These are like, oops, it's okay. It's okay. His tail feathers are shimmery black green, and they will get much longer and curve out. He also used to have a lot larger comb, which is up here. Used to have a lot more fingers to it, but when it's really cold, the ladies will tuck their beaks, their heads under their wings to keep them warm. The roosters don't do that. They're keeping an eye out to protect the flock. So in the cold, cold weather, he has his head out, and he ended up getting some frostbite. He lost the tips of his comb. But he's a really, really good rooster. So the last thing I wanted to do was tell you a little bit about what I'm drinking. I will often post tea recipes for you guys. One of my jobs when I was working at the family doctor's office, when I was working as a nurse herbalist, was to create tea recipes for them to have for all the clients who were coming in. And I've had a tea of the month club in the past through my Etsy store where I would make monthly teas and send out information about the herbs. So I think it would be a lot of fun, considering so many knitters are tea drinkers, to share some of those recipes and create some of those for you. However, today I'm not drinking tea. I'm drinking my own version of Butterbeer. It's like drinking ice cream. My son and I have been reading through Harry Potter. We just finished the first one. This is my 4th time reading through the series. I read through it myself. My husband and I read it together when we first got together. My daughter and I read it through when she was younger, so now I've started it again with my son, and he loves it. It's been a lot of fun. And I don't think they introduced Butterbeer to the 2nd or 3rd book. But I remember thinking, and I don't know why I thought this, because I've had the Butterbeer that they have at Universal Studios, and I've since seen other recipes, but I don't know why I thought it seemed like a milky drink. But that's what I created, and it's so good. I guess it was the butter aspect of it. So the recipe is 2 cups of milk. We will often use fresh goat milk or fresh cow's milk. If I can't get it from a farmer friend, then I'll usually get the non-hydrogenated kind. So it's got the cream on the top, full fat. You got to go full fat. So 2 cups of full fat milk. If you don't do milk, I haven't tried it, but I suspect that canned coconut milk would work well. It'd be a slightly different flavor, of course, but I think it would work well. So 2 cups of that. 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. We use funky sugar in my house. We use Truvio, which is a stevia mixture, because it has less effect on your blood sugar. So I'll use 1 tablespoon of that because it's sweeter. But basically 2 tablespoons of a brown sugar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and 1 tablespoon of butter. So you're going to put it all in a pot and warm it up. You can get it nice and hot if you have an immersion blender. If you don't, just get it warm enough that the butter melts, and then you can put it in your blender and blend it for a little bit, then put it back in the pot to make it hot. But what you do with the immersion blender or the blender is you froth it, and it gives it a nice froth on top. And then pour it in your mugs and drink up. It really is like drinking ice cream, like vanilla ice cream. It's so sweet, but it's so tasty. You could probably add cinnamon or turmeric or cardamom or any of those sweet spices for another flavor. I bet if you added turmeric, that'd be a really nice evening milk, like a golden milk drink. But it's super good. So that's your recipe for today. And I think you'll like it. If you don't do dairy, I guess you could use a non-dairy margarine for the butter. I've not tried that. Maybe a little bit of coconut oil to give it that smoothness might work. If you try it, if you don't do dairy, let me know. I'd love to hear how it works out for you. The last thing I wanted to share, since we were talking about Harry Potter, this is a book that my mom got for me when she knew how excited about Harry Potter I was. It's one of the first editions that they have of the European version of Harry Potter for the Chamber of Secrets. And a mouse got to it. But inside, I have a letter from J.K. Rowling. When she had written, I guess it was after I read her second book, I wrote her a letter, and I thought, I'm never going to hear back, but I just want to say thank you so much. I absolutely loved these books. They transported me to another world. They helped me escape bad days. And that's what books are all about, bringing you to another world and completely introducing you to another life. I loved these books. They were so much fun. And I loved the fact that she had herbs in there. And many of the herbs had proper names. And so Mandrake. Mandrake's a good example. There's 2 different types of mandrake. There's the American mandrake and there's the European mandrake. They're used differently herbally. But when you pull them out, they look like little people, which I thought was fabulous because she puts it in the book. When you pulled out the mandrake, they screamed, right? That was what you were supposed to, you couldn't hear them, or they'd make you faint. You had to cover your ears. Well, the mandrake I've pulled up is the American mandrake, and it doesn't scream at me. Maybe the European mandrake does. You'll have to let me know. But it looks like a little person. So I loved how she would talk about using wolfsbane and mandrake and all these things, Professor Sprout would. And so I wrote her a letter, and I basically just said thank you. And I signed it, Maria, Special Assistant to Professor Sprout, or something like that. Well, it couldn't have been more than a month or 2 later that I got a letter from her by owl post. She did say Dear Marcia, not Dear Maria, but that's okay. I knew she meant it was to me. And it was signed. And it says, first, I have to say, and this is in all caps, sorry that it has taken me so long to write you back. It was like a month. She's a famous author, and she was apologizing 3 times for taking a month to write me back. I'm very ashamed of myself, and my only excuse is that I've been very busy over the last few months. I've been writing Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, followed by the tour on Hogwarts Express. And as a result, my pile of unanswered letters is several feet high, so please forgive me the wait. Okay, so that right there could be a standard letter that she mails to everyone, right? Thank you so much for the kind gifts you sent me. I will pass on your regards to Professor Sprout. I sent her a salve, I think. I might have sent her some soap, some herbal stuff. But she specifically mentions it. She handwrote this letter. Well, she hand typed this letter and signed it. You're probably aware that the fourth Harry Potter book is the longest yet, so if you haven't read it already, brace yourself. I hope you like it as much as the others. I've had the usual huge amount of fun writing it. Sorry, my cat's scratching at the door. It has, I think, the scariest ending so far. Yeah, definitely. That one was the Goblet of Fire. Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much indeed for being such a fan of Harry's, and thank you again for writing. It's letters like this that make my day. Yours sincerely, J.K. Rowling. How cool is that? So I just wanted to share that with you. I forget sometimes that I had this, and I wanted to pull it out since I was making Butterbeer, and here she sent me a little swag. Again, it's signed. So anyway, with that, I will end this. I think I've covered everything. And if I haven't, I'll talk to you about it next time, because I'm hoping to make this probably an every 2-week podcast. And if you have any suggestions for how I can improve or things you'd like to hear me talk about, please leave it in the Ravelry group. I would love to have you join there and have lively discussions. Yeah. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you want to get notifications when I post again. And thank you again. You guys are awesome. I love our fiber community, and I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
If that mockingbird won't sing, Papa's gonna buy you a diamond.